When I think about building out, in my head, the language is building the org chart. What was the transition like for you to say, hey, I've got, like, how many employees did you have when you thought, fuck, I need to have a head of HR, whatever that the title was, role was, et cetera. And how clearly defined did you have the role before you did it?
As I built the company, yes, I think about the org chart. It would always be client-centric. What do we have to do now to serve the client even more? Mm-hmm. So, well, number one was sales. Number two, I think, was finance. You manage cash flow, certainly as a bootstrapped company, cash flow is everything. Profits, they're great, but cash flow is more critical. Sales are critical, right? It's the fuel for the business, cash flow. So that was vital. Obviously, the other piece, being a staffing company, is I had to have a great recruitment person, making sure that I vetted and trained these employees and these nurses, and they were better than anybody else out there. So I started with the basics, right? Cash flow, sales, best product. Cash flow, sales, best product, and kept it like that for quite some time. As we grew, at some point I might have had 75 corporate staff and I had over 1,500 employees. And at various stages, you're like, okay, it kind of becomes obvious that your staff are just buried in work.
Yeah.
And you need somebody either more sophisticated, or you need software, or you need to
more bodies.
Hire somebody else. So it's hard to answer your question. I have to really think back year by year.
Sure.
But the whole goal there for me was, from a personal perspective, I want to replace myself as soon as possible and as rapidly as possible, so I can do what I'm best at. What am I best at? Vision and strategic type things, like strategy. Where are we going? Do we acquire this company? How do we grow this business? How do we differentiate this business? What unique services do we provide that other companies don't provide? Huge differentiators that could really add value at sale. I'm always thinking, how can I build something that's unbelievably good for the client today, and that's going to look fantastic when we go to sell it? So there's a lot of that, but you have to have a lot of thinking time to think about these things. So if you're so busy being in it all the time, you really don't have a lot of, let me put it this way, and I'll shut up. People that were a fraction of our size would call me up all the time and say, Scott, I'm working 60-hour weeks. And they were like, 1/15 the size of our business. And I'm working 5, 6, 7-hour weeks. And they're asking, how do you do that? And so much of it is the game. It's an oversimplification, but not by much, in my opinion. The game really comes down to, how do we hire the right people at the exact right time for this stage of development in the business?